been said, a bard's life can often be a hard life, or hill and dale to rove and always move from town to town. And some folk have inquired if ever we grow tired of ranging all around the world and never settling down.
But one should be a little wary of remaining stationary, 'cause comfortable is lovely, but it's not the way we grow. When life starts to unravel, pick up your pack and travel. You'll find a strange serenity in places you don't know. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. You've got no map for showing which direction you are going.
But why start on a journey if you know where it will end?
And once you recognize,
to anticipate surprise, you'll relish every twist and turn that lies around the bend. Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee-da-dee-da-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road.
The world has got its demons. There are many reasons why you'd find it harder to be brave than be afraid.
But every life could use some danger. Every friend was once a stranger. Ships are safe in harbor, but that's not why ships are made.
Wriggle-dee-dum-dee-too-da-terry-o-dee-da-dee. A fwit-dee-dee-dee-dee. There's so much to see beyond the open door. It's outward bound we go. Who knows what we'll find that we've never found before. Adventures waiting further down the road. It's waiting for you further down the road. Adventures waiting further down the road.
Let's go!
Hello, friends. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Patreon exclusive AMA show. I am so excited to be here with our lovely, lovely guests. We have Paolo and Onça. Let me fix that. There we go. Hello. Hi, guys.
Hi.
So y'all were supposed to be in the same place today, I do believe.
Supposed to be in Austin, Texas for the Sherwood Forest Fair for the weekend, and then heading to Vegas for Leah's Tiny Girl Big Show. She's having a convention of I guess, female forward magic and other performers, kind of a convention, really.
Oh, that'd be so much fun. I didn't realize that she was putting that whole thing on.
Oh yeah, it's all her and the team she built.
Wow.
When she came to, so when Leah Orleans was at Abs Fest, the Burlesque and Sideshow Festival that I produced this last year, she was one of our national headliners. And she was like, I'm happy to do it, you know, just to spend some time with you guys. But also I'm secretly taking notes on how you run your event, because I'm about to run this gigantic, very volunteer, involved convention in Vegas. So hopefully if anything goes well at her event, we can take some credit for being a good example. But really, she's built an amazing team and is kicking ass. So
I was actually just scrubbing through some Abs Fest videos from last year and happened to come across Paolo, your and Leah's performance, which I hadn't gotten to see before, but I know you've talked about it a bunch of times. So I sat there and watched the whole thing. It was so good. It was so good. That was such a fun act. I loved it.
She's a great performer in her own right, and it was a whole lot of fun. You know, that's the great thing about Abs Fest is that we get to do things that, or I get to do things that I don't usually get to do. So you know, we had talked about that routine a few times. I'd come up with a routine. You know, I had this well-shaped object, and I was like, darn it, if we're gonna not use it just the one time. So because originally it was actually a cake that someone jumped out of.
yes,
And,
for Abs Fest 10. For the 10th anniversary, he had built it. So it rolled out on stage. It looks like a cake. It was pink and had frosting and everything, and had like a trapdoor thing. Yeah, another layer, and somebody jumped out.
That's
so
good.
Yes, and so since then, it spent several years being the chop saw table. He put wheels on it, and so just kept the saw on it in the basement. So he had this pink birthday cake that was actually the table. So he repurposed that and turned it into the well for the piece that he performed with Leah. And it was great.
Yep.
Hello, Sir David Percival. How are you?
Good to see you. Thanks for coming. Yeah, so it was a lot of fun, and that is, you know, again, like that's the great thing about Abs Fest is that I get to do things that I never get to do. You know, are we ever going to do that routine ever again? I mean, maybe, but you know, it was just great to collaborate with another creative individual who's, you know, willing to have some fun with a crazy thing that will probably, it's like part of me hates to say we'll probably never do it ever again, and then part of me is like, but that's the magic. We just do it the one time, and then there you go. So, oh, and Sally's on Discord with us here.
That's okay. I was gonna say,
hello,
I thought I saw her pop up. Hello. Yeah, that was really cool. That was super fun to see.
If there's, I don't know if there's if we want to put it out there, you know, to promote the festival or whatever. I don't know if it ever got put online or anything, but you know, we could do that.
Oh, I can totally share that show. Yeah, in a reel on our Nat 21 page, so we can just show you know, little parts of Paolo that you don't get to see.
Yeah.
That was it. And charming disaster sang while y'all were performing. That was really cool. I didn't realize that they were singing the song while you guys were doing the performance. That was so fun.
All on the stage. Oh, so for you, Sir David Percival, I just saw your note. I haven't filled out the form for Abs Fest because I don't have a website. You are not required. It's just like if you wanted to donate because you wanted the visibility for your business, then we would want to make sure that we could provide that. But you know, if you just want to donate because you want us to help us take care of all the kitties, that's absolutely great too. No problem. If there's a spot where Mab's form had requested, you know, social media contact or something, you know, if there's any way that you want people to find you as a result of the work you're donating, otherwise just donate away to your heart's content. Mab is not actually running it this year, as we know she's got a lot going on, but we're basically just using the template of everything she built. So Dana Jones, our good friend, is stepping in to be Mab's hands and legs as far as that goes. So by all means, donate for the kitties. Thanks.
Yes. And if y'all have any questions on that at all, y'all reach out to Onça, me, whoever. Super happy to answer questions about Abs Fest.
Yeah.
That'll be
So what
super
happens on
great.
these? Do we just sort of wander around and amuse ourselves with stories? Do people have questions that they want to ask us?
So it kind of depends on how it goes. Sometimes people send in questions, sometimes they don't, which is totally fine. I have a few kind of generic ones that seem to be super common questions that people ask as far as in the performer world and all of that. Onça, though, this is actually kind of a cool one for you because I think this one goes with you really well. But what is the most challenging language that you have had to learn to sing in?
Oh,
I know you're always
well,
learning language. You're always doing Duolingo and all of that.
I'm literally actually doing Duolingo off the screen because I realized it was after 6 during the pre-show, and I was trying to rush through a lesson. I used to perform and tour with another performer doing Balkan music, and so here's the difference. If I'm trying to sing a song in French, if I'm trying to sing a song in Italian, like I know those languages enough to know what I'm saying. Like it's part of my learning curve, but I have a kind of grounding in Romance languages. Trying to do songs in various Balkan languages, I'm literally just, you get a translation more or less, but you're just memorizing the syllables. And that is really intense. So, I mean, I've sang songs in all of those little splinter states that are now trying to figure out if they get to stay Putin free. All of those little countries there. Romanian is hard. It is allegedly one of the most similar to Latin of any surviving language that is still spoken these days. But I've sung songs in Macedonian. But yeah, I'm just going to say, really, Balkan music was the hard one for me, and partly because there are so many languages within it. So Italian, but in comparison, facile, not hard. I might have a hard time remembering it, but at least I know what I'm saying. But those ones, it's just remembering a fricative series of very emotional syllables in a minor key.
Like that's just full memory, no bass there at all. Yeah. That's awesome.
Like allegedly we know what those words mean, but do we remember, could you switch them around in a sentence?
Right. Or could I tell you which part is which? Like I know that this part means, this boat is full of hash. My boat is sinking. This boat is full of hash, like hashish. I know that's what the song is about. But if you ask me to know which part was which, it's just, like trying to remember the second verse of your national anthem. Nobody knows it.
Nobody knows. Absolutely not. That's awesome. And there we go.
Oh, hey, Zarkenfrude. I can see that you've got to go. Can't stay. Got to get po' boys. That's amazing.
He didn't know. I think he had mentioned at one point that he was going for Mardi Gras. Which was I believe that was just the 4th of this week. So
yeah,
we missed you too, buddy.
It's a season and a culture.
Fun. Been quite some time since I've spent Mardi Gras in New Orleans. I used to do my friend of mine has all the puppets for the start of the Muses Parade, which is one of the first parades of Mardi Gras. So I used to actually wear this giant butterfly that lit up with LED lights and everything like that. And it was a 6-mile parade.
Oh,
but we did.
That's got to be a lot.
Is it the Muses Parade?
What's that?
Is it Muses? Is that which parade it is?
Yeah, Muses. Yeah.
So, funnily enough, since Paul and I are, as you can see, Paul and I are not together because my flights were canceled, and so I'm not there where he is. Bye. Have a wonderful time, Zarkenfrude, my dear.
Eat all the po' boys.
Yes, indeed. So I went over to our friend's house last night and had a bunch of gin and tonics to console myself. And they made the drinks with red high heel stir sticks that were being thrown in the Muses Parade because they were there for Mardi Gras with their crew of people dressed as ravens. And so they went to that parade
Oh,
and brought home
so
doodly
cool.
dads. So I had Mardi Gras flavored stir sticks.
Mardi Gras flavored.
So did not taste
That's
like po'
awesome.
boys. They definitely tasted
I
like
was
gin and high heel shoes.
I lived
Oh,
in
thanks all these people
Louisiana
for joining
like
us. This is
I know,
great.
I'm so excited. I lived in Louisiana like the young part of life, so I never participated, could
Right.
not, and never participated in Mardi Gras. That is still something I have never done. We did stuff like we went to parades in Baton Rouge and everything, but that's not a true Mardi Gras parade.
I've never been to Mardi Gras. And which is kind of funny because Paulo, of course, has been there. He's done 20 years time in his life in Louisiana. So it's like he kind of did all that, in the middle part of his life there, not too young to enjoy it. But in fact, when we started dating, he actually bailed out of Mardi Gras to fly to Asheville because he was like, Mardi Gras, I've seen it.
Aw,
I'm coming to your house. That sounds like more fun. I was like, I think this guy really likes me.
I mean, what is it? 10, how long have y'all been together now?
10 years
Nobody
being
knows.
together.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, we've been friends for 35 years or something,
Well,
but
yes, yes.
yeah.
yeah. But yeah, I think,
Together dating 14, 15.
yeah, 14 years, I think.
Yeah,
I was figured out by the time April comes around, I remember what year we're in.
yeah. So honestly, one of my like, I don't know, favorite memorable Mardi Gras memories is I was there so you do the parade and then you're kind of like you're hanging out for the next 3 or 4 days and so you go to the other parades, right? And so you're just there hanging out, blah blah blah. And you go to a particular parade. So this was the year where the year that where the Saints won the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. So the Super Bowl parade and Mardi Gras like lined up. Like it was 2 weeks of madness on top of each other, just insane. So the Saints cheerleading squad was in the parade, in one of these parades that was happening. And each one of them was like on the back of a little dune buggy, and they're throwing beads and throwing beads. But so if you're familiar with Mardi Gras, every float will have a special thing that they will throw rarely. It's like loot when you're playing a video game. It's like
Always
these
hoping for the
guys only
legendary item. Yeah.
yeah. So every once in a while they'll throw something good. They have tons of cheap beads they chuck out, but then like every once in a while they'll drop some good loot. And you're just waving and you're, hey, throw me that. And one of the cheerleaders, she's on the back of this dune buggy, and she, we make eye contact, and she's like, "You want this?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I hold out my hand, and then she zings this necklace at me so hard. I can feel it to this day. She drilled it directly into my palm. And I'm a person who professionally catches things. And I did not expect, but it, like as it just like drilled into my hand, like she hit it like hard, like she football through, and then like I didn't move my hand, nothing. It was wow. And I mean, she was on the back of a moving vehicle, like facing away from the driver, so she doesn't know, what the thing, and she zoom, and like I was like pow, and I was like, oh my god, wow, that really hurt. Oh, right, she throws really well because she hangs out with football players who throw footballs really well, and she probably has been like, hey, teach me how to throw football, and they're like, sure. And professional football players have taught her how to throw a football. Like she drilled that thing into my hand, and it was like took everything I could to like hold on to it and like keep it in my hand. And I was like, oh my God, wow, that really hurt. And I stepped back, and everyone around me was like, I'll give you all the beads that I have for that. And I was like, hell no. Get away
What
with
did
me.
you have?
What's that? Oh, what?
The
I mean,
beads,
it was
they were
it was
like football beads, actually.
yeah,
It
it's
was
one with
just a
football beads. Yeah. It's one of the
But you know,
3 Mardi Gras beads that I've kept in my lifetime.
right?
So
It's actually
having had thousands, literally thousands,
Oh,
because
same.
because when
A
you work
huge
at a
same.
parade and then you are at the parades, and the way I would use them, I would collect like trash bags full, and then I would go to other events, and then we would throw beads out at other events. So it was like
There you go.
I'm collecting them all, but like I never keep them. So it was
Oh,
one
and
of
I've
the
seen the
3.
aftermath of those parades, and I mean, like, you can literally just walk the streets after the parades are over and pick up so much
Hmm.
stuff, so much
Yeah,
stuff.
but you really don't want to pick up anything that's already hit the ground. So
That is true.
it's a good rule of life in New Orleans, really.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, don't pick stuff up. Yeah. That
Do not know where that's been. So
no, don't pick up stuff, don't walk barefoot.
Sally, I have a question. Suspenders or shirt trim? Oh, you're asking what's Paulo's shirt. I was like, I wasn't
oh,
sure what was.
Oh,
I didn't understand either. Now I get it.
totally didn't see that. Yeah.
The answer is
Tis
it's a
a
shirt.
shirt.
I got that shirt for Paulo in Mexico, and where I don't speak the language at all, and I went into. I had a guide take me into the local.
He was trying to buy me a
market.
hat.
Went into into like the local market, and again, like Italian helped. It really did, because I was like, non è lunga, corte, and they're like, oh right, okay, short sleeves. But like I would have been 100% lost. It was a very intense experience for me. It was like one of those, like, people have a shower curtain stretched over the top of a thing, and this is a booth, and it's like this maze where you go through all the streets, and then we sat down to eat this like very famous regional food in this diner. There's like, oh, this is the oldest place in the town, and they're cutting the giant meat thing right there in the open. But a whole bunch of the stools are broken. They're missing. They're just like duct taped over, because it's just like some little, little wild place in Mexico, And I was like, I'm so glad that I'm here, and I'm so glad I'm here with someone who knows what's going on. So
That's awesome.
I went around being like, I need a shirt like this, but I also need to get him a white one, and then I want one with long sleeves. So I got Paulo a bunch of very nice Mexican shirts.
Love it.
Yes,
No,
Sarah.
there does not.
It's not
Never.
on Bourbon Street. Definitely not on Bourbon Street.
Right.
No.
Yep. In fact, you're even allowed to just abandon your friends if they fall into the gutter on Bourbon Street. I think you're allowed to be like,
Sorry.
They trip and fall on Bourbon Street. It's legally you don't have to try to pick them up.
You're
There's
no
no
longer
washing that
responsible for them. No,
No.
no.
Oof.
That's
Oh
it.
wow,
We did.
Percival, that sounds amazing. He said it sounds like when we used to go watch live lucha wrestling in Tijuana. That must have
Whoa.
been incredible. Like,
Never been to Mardi Gras, but you've been to lucha wrestling in Tijuana.
The happiest place on earth, Tijuana.
Yeah, something like that. Oh my gosh. So one of the questions that we asked Prue last week that a lot of people liked and were really wondering, which is a very loaded question, but I think it's a great one for you. Let me find where it went. There it is. So, do you have a favorite festival that feels more like home than the others? You don't have to say it's like, your overall favorite, unless you do have an overall favorite. But which one is like when you go, it's just like this feels like normal, right?
Okay, I start off every time anybody asks me anything like that. I always have to start off with the diplomatic phrase and say, well, they all have something that I love about, which is why I'm there. If I didn't like the festival, I wouldn't work for them. I'm thankfully at a position in my career where sometimes I can be like, I'm not doing that
Get to
festival because
pick and choose.
those people suck or whatever, you know. So I'm like, so there's a reason why I'm there, and so they all have something going for them.
Disclaimer. There you go.
Yeah, so they're all great. But I mean, just gotta say, Maryland. I mean, it was my first fair,
Oh,
so
okay. See, that does make a difference. That does
yeah,
totally make a
absolutely.
difference.
And
It's
then,
also within driving distance of our house. So we can literally like have a home away from home and then still also go home. Unlike now when, like Paulo isn't going to be back at his actual other
Worlds
home for
apart.
quite some time. So, Maryland is really great that way. As far as Ren fairs go. I mean, that's the thing. Also, there's lots of kinds of festivals in our lives, right? So it's like Gen
Right.
Con obviously is, the penultimate expression of what it is, and it's fun and it's interesting and it's really good to us. So it is the only reason that I would be ever excited to go to Indiana more than once.
no
So,
offense.
like, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of Indiana, but what I have seen is very flat and very sports motivated. So,
Yes.
being curvy
Part
and
of it
not
being
sports
flat, of
motivated.
course, is because when you've had a few drinks and you're willing to get on one of those scooters, it's great.
It's
That's
awesome.
true.
See, you're just not doing it right in Indiana. That's your problem. That's what it is.
Well, yes. So, I
You
mean,
gotta
okay,
get drunk and go ride scooters.
yes, rent a lime and then drive around looking at architecture, in the middle of the night. Yes.
There you go.
So, like that's a great festival. Yeah, they do all just do different things.
They do for sure. Yeah. Every single, I mean, like, we've now at least been to 5 different ones, I'd say. And yeah, every single one of them just completely different. I mean, some of the same entertainer. Like, obviously, I mean, from Tennessee to Maryland, like that was a big jump though, because
That's a
Tennessee is
big jump.
small. It's a little one. And we thought, like,
Yeah.
me having started out in Tennessee at the very beginning was like, look at this, this is so cool. Like, like a Dollar General versus like a Walmart. We go to Maryland and it's like, oh, this is what these are like. Okay. Like, so yeah, that was Maryland is a really cool place.
Maryland is so
Like,
cool that I actually wandered around taking video of it to send to the people at Muncaster Castle because they're interested in like expanding on their heritage-based tourism. And I was like, as
Yes.
I'm filming at Maryland on a Saturday morning, the lanes are filling up, the buildings, there's all this beautiful permanent infrastructure there. And as like, the third like furry lady in a bikini walks by or whatever, and I'm like, and this is what Americans like to think that your country looked like 500 years ago. It was very funny. They also thought it was entertaining. There probably won't be as much of that part at their events, but I love the eclecticism of fairs these days, where there really is space, for all kinds.
Oh,
oh
there really
well,
is. And now I've seen them do a bunch of their like time capsule ones and stuff, and people are coming as like Doctor Who and like all this kind of stuff from like a different world. Like
time
it is,
traveler.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. That's like one of my favorites because it allows room for, like maybe like me, you hate the clothes of the Middle Ages. I hate them. It's like got to be one of the worst periods in history as far as clothes for anyone, certainly for women. Hate it. But on a time traveler weekend, you can wear the fashions that suit your physical needs,
Whatever,
your taste, your style, and you're not taking anything away from anybody. So, I love a good loophole that allows for people to express themselves in a way that's comfortable.
absolutely.
I'm sorry you're so tired, honey. I know it's all the staying awake at night, pining for me. It's making you sleepy.
Long day of juggling and just sits there. Oh, Onça. All right, let's see. Oh, this is you may have some recent ones maybe. Oh, there you go.
Sorry about that, Reverend Tommy.
Is that at Tennessee?
Yeah, Tommy's
Yeah.
literally like on the back of his booth. It comes right onto Paulo's audience space. So the good news is he surely knows every word of every one of Paulo's shows by heart. The bad news is he probably knows every one of Paulo's shows.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What is the wildest or funniest thing that has ever happened to you during a performance? Oh my gosh.
We've been doing this
Gonna
for
think
what?
about that.
30 years? We gotta hear
Gonna-
the goods.
I mean, I really have to think about that because just so many crazy things have happened. Like,
I'd
but
imagine you see
it's funny
people.
because you're like, what? How do you gauge that? Because it's like, is it crazy something that I set up, or just like the most bizarre thing that's ever happened to me out of the blue, where someone else, that time we took your pants off while juggling. There was that time.
Do what now? Oh, that was you. Yes.
I mean, that was pretty funny. Okay, so all right, yeah, to see now. So I would say like, okay, so things that I did not plan to happen.
I can't wait to see
All right,
what
there's
this story is.
two things that stick out in my mind. One is when I threw my clubs backstage over the wall after Talon had set up probably 200 some odd mousetraps, and I just chucked my clubs up over the wall, and they landed on the mousetraps that had been set, and then you could hear them from the audience, pat 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 pat,
Oh,
and they just like, and then you so sad. But Talon was like, yeah.
The kid's been,
And-
it's hard work setting mousetraps all day. The kid got like 50
it
bucks
takes
to set
hours.
mousetraps
It
all
literally
day.
like takes half your day to set these things up, and
Every time
and
one
so
goes
it's
off, it jumps a little and it hits the one next to it. So they go,
right.
pop, 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 pop,
chain
pop.
reaction,
Just
kind of like
total
machine
shit. Yeah.
gun. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And what did
That
Paulo
poor
say to the
Talon,
people?
though.
Oh yeah.
That was, I mean, that was crazy. That was wild.
The audience was like, "What is happening?" And Paulo said something like, "What did you say? We've got
So
good
I think
people."
being the whipper, I mean, we set that up. So I mean, like, that's not
just
the craziest thing. It was a good thing, but I will say that I had a person dress up like Sir Isaac Macho Man Newton at just last year at Sherwood, and he brought a telescope and everything.
That's awesome.
And he was like, "Oh yeah," and it was great. It was that was pretty funny. Gosh, I'm trying to think. I ended up doing a very angry striptease at a juggling festival because I was emceeing the show, and we had a burlesque performer. I didn't decide on these acts. I was just emceeing, and we had a burlesque performer, and there was like this weird thing. I guess maybe some people just didn't know that there was going to be a burlesque performer. And again, it's not nudity. Yes, she's down to like underwear, but like it was, so I was like, you know what?
Some people in
Fine.
fest costumes come in less.
Yeah. So I'm like, fine, you know what? I'm gonna do a strip tease. And I end up doing a very angry, like, I just ended up juggling my clothing. Like I took my belt off, and then I took my, pants off and shirt. And I'm like, fuck you guys, because they were just so like, I don't know. It was this weird attitude. I don't know what happened. It was in Asheville. And so I was like, you know what? Fine. I'll do a strip tease. If you're so angry about a woman doing a strip tease, how about me? And then I don't know if that was
That's
what they had in mind either.
amazing.
And I was just because I went on my rant about J.K. Rowling's and and about how she's messed up Latin, and it's like everyone has their problems with J.K., but my biggest problem with her, I guess it's that isn't my biggest problem, but
It's on the
my
list.
problem is it's on the list, but yeah, is how that she made fake Latin. She could have had real Latin anyway, and she's making up Latin words. You can't just make up Latin words. There's real words. Words have meaning. Yeah. So anyway, it was crazy. It was wacky. I don't know. It's so funny. It's like it's so hard for me to think of like the weirdest things that happen. I don't know.
I mean, and you've,
I mean, you only see
you're-
thousands and thousands of people every year.
right, and you've only done thousands and thousands of shows. I mean, you do
Right.
thousands of shows in a year, and you've been doing them for, because if you're doing 3 to 7 shows a day, for 3/4 of the year, and you multiply that by the amount of years we've been alive, then it adds up to a lot of moments.
I
A
mean,
lot of moments.
2 Germans arguing over German language in doing a show in Germany, and I'm doing my show, which I have translated into German, and a friend of mine who's a performer who
Wow, that's
is
impressive.
a native German speaker has said, "Oh, this is the word you want to use. This is blah blah blah." So like I had him go over the script, and then these 2 German people argue over whether the Diablo, which is the juggling prop, is Dare Diablo or D Diablo. And then like literally we stopped the show and had
Oh
this
my
vocabulary
God.
argument. Yeah. And
That is hilarious. She
yeah.
said language fight.
Language fight. Language fight. Yeah, it's great.
Definitely.
So a Diablo is the big, like, looks like a big giant yo-yo. It's not a German word, but it was brought into, of course, the German language, because a lot of
Right.
Germans juggle with it. So they had to figure out if it's masculine, feminine, or neutered. So it is die, der, or das, the word the, right? And my friend told me it was der Diablo. And so I'm like, blah, 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 der Diablo, blah, 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 blah. And this guy's like, später, ein Minuten ist die Diablo. And I was like,
In the middle of your
okay,
show.
you know what? I'm just going to go with it because, all right. It was like, my German friend told me it was who uses a Diablo in his show told me it was Der Diablo. Okay, fine. Now, guy's like, it's D Diablo. And I was like, oh, all right, okay. So blah, 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 D Diablo, blah, blah, blah. Guy on the other side of the audience goes, no, you were right the first time. It's Der Diablo. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. It's Der Diablo again. Fine. Der Diablo, blah. And the other guy goes, wait a minute. And so this is the funny thing, is that they started to have this argument in English so that I would understand what they were saying. And so the guy's like, I actually teach German to Germans. That's my job. It is D Diablo. And the other guy goes, I work on the committee that brings foreign words into German language. It's Der Diablo. And they're like, and the audience like breaks up into 2 different and they're like, and I was like, whoa. I was like, whoa, slow down, people. Like, listen. And I was like, I mean, I've stopped. I'm just sitting here like watching them do their show, watching them do their thing.
Watching
I'm
them
just
do
like,
their show, literally. Though.
Yes, you were.
So yeah, and then eventually I was like, guys, can we bring it back to the show?
Like
and first of all, secondly, if you can't figure out what it is, why are you giving me such a hard time? I can't figure out what it is. Let's move on.
And to be fair, they were trying to be helpful because that's, it was in the spirit of trying to help you because they were invested in you doing well, So it's like, it's sweet. But so, hi, London. So,
hello.
Yeah, Carrie's question was like, what's the most hostile audience you've ever worked with? Was it those ones where you were spite stripping?
No. I mean,
That's
okay,
a good question.
I've been in places where, it was like, this is not going to work out as a street show, maybe. Oh, no, wait. Okay, well, I was doing a show and it was kids, right? It's normally not kids. They like normally, of course, kids have their parents usually, but it was just like there's like 5 kids who were old enough to know better, but did not. And it's like it's one thing if they're like 7, 8, 9, like pushing 10 maybe. It's like and they're just being bratty or whatever. I mean, hey, who wasn't bratty at 9 years old? But this kid was like 13 and just I was like, you're old enough to know better and you're not. And I where was I? I was in England and at Basildon. Anyway, and some big festival they were having. I don't even remember how I got that. Anyway, I was like, we're done here. I just packed it up. I was like, you're not worth it. You guys are not worth it. Bye.
Wow.
And then this kid kept giving me shit and would not stop. And I was like, no, we're done. She's like, no, you got to juggle for us. I was like, actually, I don't. And and there was this whole big thing. And I finally was like, you're absolutely done. And I picked her up by her foot. I just grabbed her and like spun her upside down and I held her straight out with my just by one ankle. And I took her over to the like there was some sort of like visitor question booth. And I walked and she's screaming. And the person's like, I don't think she's having a good time. And she's like, oh, I know she's not. And neither am I. And here, keep her. Like, yeah.
That is hilarious.
Yeah, that was probably my most hostile as far as entire audience. Of course, I've had shows where I had like I've had 1 or 2 people who were interrupting, which is a big difference from heckling. Heckling is fun and it's a give and take and you go back and
Well,
forth.
banter.
Heckling
Yeah.
keeps you on toes. It's a lot of fun. Interrupting is just when you're just saying crap and it like has no meaning and you're like, if I'm ignoring you and you know that I heard what you said, it means you're just interrupting. If you say something during my show and it was good, I will usually respond because that honestly is like something that keeps the show fresh. And it's like, oh no, I'm absolutely willing to like have somebody heckle and
That's how you ended up with a ballerina fight. I mean, it was a kid
Yeah.
who wanted to
Right.
get into it with you, and it's turned into, a huge part of our experience.
Yeah.
It's like it was the seed of something brilliant. Like we owe, royalties to competitive little Percy, right?
Well, you weren't, come on.
So I do have
I mean,
to ask.
sometimes
We do have a question, but
okay.
going along with that though, because I've heard it in Tennessee and it bugs me, but I'm not an entertainer, so it may not bug you. But does it bother you whenever your repeat showgoers say your entire monologue out loud while you're performing?
Only if they're saying it before I say it.
Okay.
Because then they're wrecking it for people who've never heard it.
Right, right. I think that
And then
it was a couple of years ago in Tennessee, and like someone was repeating, like doing your whole show, and I was like, stop that. Like, he's not, this is his, like, he knows, he's got it. Thank you.
I mean, they're and it's funny because like that is their connection. So I don't fault them for that. I don't, it's like it, but if you're
I mean,
saying
love a
it,
fan, love a
then
super big follower, right? But
yeah, but it's the like it's you and it's usually like again, it's usually kids who don't really know better, but they're like they want the connection And so in their head, they're thinking like, if I give the punchline to this joke a millisecond before I do, then somehow they've gained something, right?
I gotcha.
And really, they're just like, you're just wrecking it, like you're not, because they don't understand timing. So
Right,
um,
exactly.
Or that there's 500 people at the show, and they're the only one getting anything out of that.
Right,
and I
right.
mean
Because
that's
I mean, I could like as many times as I've seen you in Tennessee, like, yeah, I could do your show, but it's fun every time. Also, there's new people every time too, so it always changes. But yeah, I was curious about that myself just because I have heard it now a couple of times, and I'm just like, I'll be up there like, taking pictures and I'm close and I hear someone just like repeating the whole thing, and I'm just like, would you shut up? Let him do it.
Just to be
I mean in
clear,
Tennessee, they've seen it for 20 years.
backstage,
Yeah.
so
And then
backstage,
sometimes,
we all do that. We recite each other's entire shows.
Yes, oh, for sure.
With my other hand, and we run hand into
Yeah,
like that's.
absolutely.
But we're not wrecking the show. We're just having our own show.
Yeah,
In
just
the
doing
back.
your own show in the back. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, this one.
No. What is
Oh,
that?
why
I'm
don't
not
we call
sure.
them Pathfire Bladers?
What is the most
I'm
unusual
not sure I
food you've
understand the
ever
question. Most unusual food you've eaten on your
On tour.
on,
I think on
on
tour.
tour.
for?
Okay, I thought it was like on your what? Like this question could go in a lot of
On
directions.
your, listen,
Gotcha.
this is
This guy,
private.
nom, nom, nom.
I guess it'd be whipped cream. No.
That's not weird. It's just gross. Um,
That
most
cat.
unusual. Yeah, sorry, we just got to take a minute to enjoy the cat who wanted to be part of the action. Yeah, we're gonna do an AMA that's just everyone's pets. Just gonna put them on the screen and everyone
Pet
can
AMA.
woo and ooh about them. What is the most unusual food? I have to say I don't want to say that I'm conservative about food, but because I have
Well, you
dairy
have to be a
aversion.
little bit though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like there's nothing I can eat in New Orleans, which is why I just live on gin when I'm there, because there's like literally nothing I can eat. The cultural food of that place is entirely made of things, and
Uh,
seafood. Like,
Tazerac. What's your drink called?
oh, a Sazerac.
A
Yes.
Sazerac. Yeah, that's what it is.
Yes. Exactly. I'll Sazerac all day. Beans can't decide if it's worth staying here. So, like for me, I guess I'm not a particularly crazy eater because of just walk across the table. We do that now. So I don't know. What about you, hon? I know you've
I
had
would say the weirdest thing I got committed to eating was when I was out there in Italy and they were like, "Oh yeah, here we're making a tripe sandwich," and I was like, "Tripe," and I'm like trying to think tripe, and I was like, "Wow, I don't know what that is," and I was like, I'm surprised that I don't know the word, and I'm going to think in my head like, how would you spell tripe, and I was like, Tripe. Oh, that's funny because that spells tripe in English. Oh shit.
Shit. Oh, I have eaten a tongue, and that was gross. It was as gross as promised. Like it was like,
So
here's a sandwich. It's got a cow's tongue in it.
Okay,
I do
I've
not
seen
eat it.
those. I've never partake, but
day sandwich was sadly I was like, oh yeah, I guess I'll eat it. Yeah. It wasn't terrible, but it was not my preferred cut of
Yeah,
meat, I suppose.
makes
so
a
do
point of
y'all
not
have a
eating.
festival that like has one of your favorite things? Like every time you go, you're like, oh, they have this type of food that I like. Is there kind of to add on to Sally's question? Do you go to like Maryland and you're like, oh, like I'm going to Maryland for steak on a steak. Their steak was amazing. That is
Honestly,
the
when you work there, you bring your own food because you would spend
oh,
so much of your life standing in lines. Like,
But
I've
oh,
at
that's so
Maryland,
true.
in the morning before the gates open, sometimes the line for the crepes is so big, even in the morning. But they do make a gluten-free crepe at Maryland, and
yeah,
so this young lady right here loves that. Um,
yes. I just love that
Oh,
there's
I
I
bet.
will,
something I can eat. Although
yeah,
now
Yeah.
I will
Paolo has
say,
learned to make gluten-free crepes, and his are better.
oh,
We love, yes. Yeah, I do think, I mean, that is something that just because it is such a huge thing, I feel like that is something that fests are lacking is the food options for those people who can't have fried spicy,
Right.
all the, that
Or
definitely
just
needs
think
to be
that like,
something.
or think that festival food is kind of gross. Like I haven't had an interest in like fast food or festival food, since I was a kid. So I'm not like, I can't
Sure.
wait to get to the fair and eat, like, unless it has to be food worth eating. There is that one place at by your stage that you're at, hon, now with the like ogre toes or whatever. That's probably my favorite thing to eat at
I
fairs.
was about to say here, this is the one place where I'm like, oh yeah, right, there is. So Sherwood Forest Fair, they don't have them anywhere else because he only works this show. Because he's actually a local restaurateur, and he
Oh,
does
cool.
this show. And he's like, yeah, he comes out here and like, so what he's got is he's got dragon toes, he's got ogre toes, and something else
There
toes.
you go,
But
London.
oh, this is a kissy cat.
Just for you.
Beans was like, wait, where am I going? Right.
So the dragon toes are the one I like because I usually prefer the chicken anyway. But that's just me.
So what are these?
So it's chicken wrapped in
Ogre
bacon.
toast.
A
Oh,
little dragon
oh
toe.
my God. That sounds
Yeah.
delicious.
The ogre toes are honeyed sausage. No, wait, honeyed bacon wrapped in sausage, wrapped in bacon. So it's
Oh
like the
my
Death
God.
Star of bacon.
It sounds
Um,
like it.
yeah, it's like imagine a Scottish egg, but no egg inside. It's just more meat. So
Just keeps
it just
going.
it just keeps going. It's just sausage all the way down. Yeah, so I love the dragon toes, and yes, and of course they're right next to my stage, so I actually am able to like swing by after my second show, and they always know to like we do a quick because usually by this they have a huge line by the time lunch line rolls around. But
Do they make the performers stand in line as well?
I mean, if you don't have a special deal or can't swing by their back area, then yes, because how else are you going to do it?
Right.
But
And how would
we've known each
like,
other
how
for
would
quite some time.
people in a booth know, right? You'd be like, yes, I'm very important. I work here. Can I cut
Oh,
to the front of the
true.
line? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
a lot of
Yeah.
times if I'm like, I'm Paul Garbanzo's wife and he wants lunch, then like, if they know him and care. But you have to remember too that most people in booths don't see the fair. They don't go
That's
to the
true.
fair. They live in their
Yeah.
booth. If they can't see your stage from here, they don't know there's a joust because they've never been allowed out of the Coca-Cola or beer booth. So like it's like there's at fairs, there's different worlds. Like people who work in booths mostly live in an entirely different universe than pro acts, than cast performers. Like they barely overlap unless you really go out of your way to try to connect those communities. Again, unless your stage is sitting right on top of someone's booth. You could be 20 years at one fair and never meet them.
And never meet
Yeah,
another. That's crazy.
it's not by it's like I always just think when I first started I was like, man, those jousters really are snobby because they never I always go, hey guys, you going out to dinner? And they're like, no. They'd always like just totally like it turns out they're really busy with horses all the time. So they almost never have any free time to go out and like have dinner with everybody. And it's like it's not because they're being they just have a different schedule. And
Yeah.
likewise performers and even merchants at a fair, a performer most of the time I would say like you get your last show, you're done, you might have to hang out at the front gate or something like that depending on the show. Some shows make you hang out at the front gate and wave bye to everybody. Some shows don't, blah blah blah. But you get done with your last show and then maybe you hang, or maybe you do your last stage show, but then you're going to go to the pub sing at the end of the thing because you're supposed to be there and be part of the or whatever. So like you just have a different schedule. Meanwhile, all the merchants are like they have to be open until they close the fair.
Oh yeah.
And then they get to clean up their booth. The last thing you want to do is hang out even longer with
Right.
and they're done, so like
They
and
also have
it's
to get
late.
there earlier. Like Paul and
And
I
then
are
they have
just
to,
waking up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have to
So,
cook and all that. I mean, they have to get set up completely. Yeah.
so it's just there. Everybody's schedules are just different, and so you end up and performers just end up hanging out with other performers because we have the same schedule. It's
Yeah.
like when I used to wait tables, the only other people who had the same day off are other waiters.
Right.
And you're like, yep,
Yeah,
I
I didn't
guess we're
really
gonna
talk to the
go.
cooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you just end up, that's who you're gonna hang out with. So right, through no fault of
Yes.
our own.
Yes. That's a great
Yeah.
point, London. It's more fun for guests. Like we enjoy our jobs and recognize that there's a ton of that there's a privilege in being allowed to do the things that we do, whether it's, I'm just doing backup on our booth basically, but between everything that it takes to keep his show running and our booth running, that is a job, right? And so it's like, it's work. Actually, cute anecdote. This last year, one of our good friends who goes to a lot of fairy festivals, right? So like fairy festivals are like, if Ren Fair had lot less alcohol and a way less infrastructure, like they're just kind of like chaotically whimsical
So it's
in
just
general.
Tennessee Ren Fair, basically.
Way more bongs.
Yeah. So our friend comes to the fair for the weekend and is having a great time, and Paulo and I are standing at the booth at our dice cart, and there's it's after the show and there's dozens of people standing around trying to buy stuff, and she comes over and she's like, "Hey, I'm having a great time." She's clearly high as a kite, and she's just like, well, "So when do you guys have time to just chill?" We're like, Tuesday. Tuesday is when we chill.
I was gonna say, like, on a day I'm not performing at all, maybe,
Yeah, there's no
and
it's
have
like
time to sleep.
right, and then just being the person she's like, "Do you want to get high?" Which number one is that's like not my thing. No judgment, but like I was like, yeah, because what I want to do is get super paranoid and then try to handle 1,000 people's money.
I have $10 in my
You're
hand.
like, I'm sorry, what
Here.
did I give you? Did you get what?
Like, that's like would be if that would be a recurring like nightmare for me would be like suddenly your brain doesn't work properly and there's a long angry line of heat strokey people covered in bacon grease who want to give you money. Don't so we love the fair, but yeah, like it's because Ren Fair is fitting 5 days of work into 2 days.
Yeah, how hard to be that. Yeah, it was. Onça was there. I wasn't even there for that. And then she tells me, and I was like, yeah, no. Like, I just did, it's like at the end of my day, it's like I've done 4. And if I'm doing the show with Jack, I've done 5 40-minute workouts. I'm tired.
Like in the sun, in the rain.
Yeah. But also, Rep Tommy, I see you. Yes. TRF, a freaking 12-hour day. Like, it's insane. Like they open early and they close late. PA closes very late, but they open late. So yeah, good. But
sometimes Paula freezes and I can't tell.
I was gonna say just in mid freeze. Yeah, going to Maryland this last year and like actually like staying at y'all's cart for such a long period of time and just seeing how your day rolls along. I mean, like literally like just a couple hours in, I was just like, okay, what can I do for y'all? Do y'all need food? Do you need water? Like, I mean, it was like every time that like Paolo came out for like 12 seconds to say hi to everybody, take a few pictures and everything, he was like, okay, all right, I'll be back, and then I got a show and like 30, and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, it was
it's a
crazy. Like
tight
actually like
schedule.
seeing the way that your day rolls. It's just like, oh, okay, I won't talk to Paolo until literally like we are putting the cart away. Got it.
There was
It is
I can't remember if it was
insane.
Sherwood or Tennessee, but you were doing for a while. You were doing 7 shows a day, right? Because you were doing your show and you were doing the knife throwing show 3 times a day.
Sherwood.
Oh,
Yeah,
that would.
yeah, it was Sherwood. Yeah, because I was doing 4 mine and 3 knife throwing shows. Yeah, was it? No, I think it might have been 6 shows a day. or maybe I don't know.
It was
Oh,
7.
you know what? It was probably 7 because Sherwood goes later in the day because they have the time change. And so they're like, we've got a whole nother hour of daylight, so let's keep rolling. And they stay open very long time.
Yeah.
So
Tommy, that was like my number one thing the weekend that we went there was just like every time, do you guys need anything? Can I bring you any food? Onsa's like, I could use just a cup of coffee. Like, and then I'm like, yes, yes. What can I,
Right.
because just seeing how like because I mean, we came to Tennessee Fest, but like just as patrons. So I mean, it was just a little bit different, I guess, because it was just like, oh yeah, we saw Paolo's show. We're gonna go walk around and then we'll come back, But like standing there and just watching like everything happen all day, it was just like, oh my God, how do you guys have time to do anything?
Right.
Fair food is expensive. Yes, it
And
is.
yeah,
we
I
do
mean,
it on
even
Tuesday.
like, yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's why like I'm grateful. It's funny, of course, if we, not everybody does camper life. Like some people who do fairs, live full time on the road, barely balanced, like they, have an RV, right? Like that's they live in their home and their home goes with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've chosen to have a house somewhere, we don't bring a whole RV with us. And so sometimes that means, Paulo gets a place for the fair run with a bunch of other performers, or like at Sherwood, there's a certain amount of like performer housing. At Maryland, while it would be more luxurious to leave the site and go someplace that like had a real shower and internet and stuff, it's such a long day that really by the end of the day on Saturday, you really just want to like towel it off, put on some different clothes, and eat food in an air-conditioned space, like out of the sun,
Just like not move.
so that you can do it all again and like, and have fun, connect with people how their day was, whatever, sort of drama or adventures afoot. And like, I like to do one of those as a social function. Like, let's go see how Topsy Turvy's doing, or, with the Level Up with Louie, like let's go talk to people that we don't see because they're on their own stages and shops.
Right.
And then one of those nights, I usually like, now is the night when I would like to just kind of veg, because if you work all day, then socialize a bunch, and then work all day, then it's nice to just stare into your soda.
And literally just like not have to use this or anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Time to be a slug.
Time to be a slug. Absolutely.
Yeah. We have any other
well,
questions? What else is going on?
real quick, unless someone else has another question, we did want a specific Onça pointed question, which is, we obviously know that you're in Fair World and everything, but how did you get into the world of tarot? How did you start doing
Oh,
tarot, from going belly dancing into,
right.
tarot? Like
Sure.
what pushed
Okay.
you in that direction?
Okay. It's going to get weird for a second.
We
So,
love it.
and it's funny that those two things, like tarot and belly dance, I was like, God, I'm like a giant living stereotype. Like, oh yes, let me get some more scarves and veils into my life. Why don't I? Look quick, let me get a cat.
Stevie Nicks.
Cat,
Right,
there's my
exactly.
broom.
Right. Oh wait, yes, I gotta.
There you go. Yes.
So when I was always interested in sort of, metaphysical things, but I was definitely, making my own way as a spiritually inclined person. My family was resolutely non-religious. My mom had been assaulted by a priest when she was a kid. So by the time I came around, there was no assumption that like a person was required to go to church or anything. But I wanted to. So I was drawn to it. And I was like, it took me a while to be like, oh, it's not the God thing or the book thing. It was the coming together with people, in a space and singing. And like, it was everything else that wasn't the God part. It was I like the singing. I like the architecture. I like the snacks afterwards. I like, the being together with a bunch of other kids, like there was lots about it.
Absolutely.
So I realized that I was really there for the social function, but my spiritual needs, whatever they were not going to be met in that structure. In fact, I seriously thought about being a Unitarian minister, actually, when I became an adult, because Unitarians, that's the religion where you can be like, I'm literally making this up as I go along, but I can still fulfill all of the social functions of a minister, as far as helping build community and, helping families and creating sacred space and all that. So that was like, I stood in a place in my life and went, do I want to play lacrosse? Do I want to be a Unitarian minister? Or am I going to go do like art stuff? It was a toss up for a minute. So when I turned 21, I was on a bit of a spiritual journey, and I was given the quest to become familiar with some form of divination. It was like, this is part of an initiation process. It could be anything. It could be runes. It could be reading entrails, whatever, but you need to make this part of your personal practice in order to be allowed to move further on this path in this particular initiation. And I was like, well, I'm an artist. I mean, tarot can't be that hard, right? Look, I could probably figure it out from this book.
I got this.
I could not figure it out from this book. the little tiny, extremely cryptic books that come with tarot, turns out they weren't good enough. So I was very lucky to find an amazing tarot teacher named Kate Nordstrom. You'd never guess, little blonde lady, sort of surrealist painter, did aerobics. Like, you'd never look at her and think that she was like a bastion of ancient wisdom, and also super actually psychic, like could see and anticipate things that I don't have that level.
It's amazing.
Yeah, she could genuinely be like, I can seems like maybe on Tuesday, whatever's going to happen that I see in the cards. And I'm like, which card says Tuesday? Like, she's like, I just know that card. So she could use the tarot as a tool to get other information. But I studied with
awesome.
Kate, and she was, and I was a broke kid, so I basically paid her what I could and did work study and all kinds of stuff. And she worked her way through the whole deck with me and taught me a bunch of, really, I can't even imagine how different my life would be if this one, to me, older person that, she was probably 40 at the time, but, I was 20, so she may as well be, from the grown-up planet, hadn't been so patient and tolerant and taken the time to invest in me, because as a result of that, I was able to, get a foundation that I now try to share. That's why I'm so pay what you can, through COVID, I taught so much pay what you can tarot, because it was because somebody took the time to be compassionate to my interests that I was able to get a footing. So then what had happened was I was trying to learn the tarot, and this was not doing it. So I got together with another woman that I knew, and we got every book on tarot and every tarot deck we could find, which, this was the 90s. So not like it is today. We had to go to physical bookstores in order to get, buy books and get information, because the internet didn't exist yet.
What? You had to leave your house?
We did. And literally I had to go in order to, when it came time for me to find a publisher for my own deck, there was still no internet. So I actually had to go to the bookstore and write down the addresses on the inside of other people's tarot books and send them letters in the mail and ask them how a person went about this. So, it was definitely something that I accomplished earlier in my life. So I realized for me, the best way to really master the deck was to make one. And I only ever intended to make it for myself, which was very eclectic and built for my own interests. And it took me about 7 years to make. And so by the time you spent all that time, I had this study group, and we worked our way through every single card and every single text and every single tarot deck we could find. And then I found a publisher who's like, great, now you need to write a book. So we had kept notes of all of those years, and we were able to distill years and years and years of all research into something that I can feel good about still running around the world today. So
that's incredible.
There you go. And then I was so I'd been hunched over, chiseling away for ages and ages. And I was stuck in this shape because I was building this deck. And then I was like, I don't think I'm going to touch tarot cards again for years, because I need to go do something kinetic. And that's when I became a professional belly dancer, is because I needed to get out of this part and into something more expansive. And and then I was a professional belly dancer, going to conventions and stuff, and I didn't want people to know that I was a witchy whack job. So I kind of kept it on the down low for a bit. And then fortunately, turns out being a witchy whack job, it was hugely marketable. So I was able to come out of the closet. Yeah, and be like, I can belly dance and teach you these things, and I can do that. So I started teaching tarot at belly dance conventions all over the country because
That's incredible.
I know, right?
I didn't realize the tarot was before the belly dancing. That's awesome.
Yep.
Now, we met at Penzic, which is a big SCA event in Pennsylvania, while you were inking the death card. So you were coloring in the death card, and it was like, I was like, oh, hey, who's this cool person? And then I was like, that is the best death card I've ever seen in any tarot deck ever. And then when the actual deck came out, I was like, this is the best tarot deck ever. And I'm not just saying that because I married the person, but like I was like, this is really like, and I mean, seen all the tarot decks, the
All
kitty
the
deck,
things.
the zombie deck, the whatever. There's like a bajillion decks, and even
Oh, yeah.
20 years ago, there was so many decks. But it was like, this deck says it all. It's clear. It spoke to me. It was the best thing ever. And I was like, I promoted it like around well before we were ever dating.
And London, the answer is sort of yes, he did, but we were both busy doing other things. It's like, you're the best. We are totally committed to doing other things. So we're just going to stay friends for a really long time. And just in the long game, it all worked out. The very, very, very long game.
Very long game.
Yeah.
So I was actually shooting some video shots for your tarot show the last Thursday of every month on Nat 21's channel. And so I did not even notice it until today whenever my mom said something and you know, of course she's heard about you guys and everything, and she came over and she was like, so are you trying to build like a shrine for Onça's tarot deck? And I was like, what? And I looked over and sure enough, it's like your deck is in the middle of like all of these things around. And I just hadn't even thought about it. So it's been sitting like that for days. And it's on my bookshelf, like in my living room, totally forgot. And I was like, am I doing a shrine for who? Oh, and she just like, I know you love her deck. It's very like center focused. You like move things around, like everything. Oh, I was just dying laughing. I was like, actually, a shrine to Onça? Yes, yes, I should do that.
I have been
Please
some
add me
people's
in.
patron when it comes to the realm of
It
D&D.
was
So
it was great. I had just like had set it up, took some video, came back to my computer, not thought about it until she said, she was like, "Are you doing a shrine to Onça?" I was like, "Yep,
And
that
people
is the best
do.
deck in the
You-
world." So
It's the best deck. It really is.
Yeah,
It was the one
so
that I could do readings with because I just like every card just told a story, and
yes,
it's
absolutely.
you know.
That is the deck that is my go-to deck always because it's much well, one is just user friendly, like way more user friendly. I feel like you can understand it and then, you know, actually make yourself sound like you know what you're talking about when you don't. And be like,
that
yeah,
was the
see?
goal.
Do this.
Make it very accessible. London wants to know if they can have a picture of your little tarot enclave.
Yes, I will post a picture on Discord for you guys. Absolutely. My Onça shrine. Yuletide monster deck is in there as well. It's, you know, just a
With your fancy
beautiful,
silver edges.
beautiful
Oh,
little
that's great.
thing.
Right? Thecla's got some shrines, you know.
She does.
I will if I can borrow any shine from the Minotaur, I will. So that's how I got into tarot. And I wish, you know, if I had more time and in the fullness of time, I suppose I will. I'm interested in other things like reading tea leaves and all that sort of thing. I don't understand how the mechanisms of those work. Like I know
Yeah.
that tarot works because I've spent decades in the trenches with it. Some people think it's angels, some people think it's demons, some people think it's your subconscious, like whatever it is, tarot is
Whatever.
genuinely a useful tool for self-knowledge and self-reflection. So I haven't had a chance to muck about with all of the other ones and see if like, I don't want to assume that, you know, I don't know if they're all on the same footing, you know, but I'm curious to learn more. I just need a little
I
time.
just got runes. I'm really curious about runes and how they work. That was a new
Oh,
one
wow.
for me.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I picked those up at that that shop that I went to.
Oh yeah, the
I always
Buckland
keep
Witchcraft
forgetting the
Museum.
name. Yeah, the Buckland
Buckland
Museum.
Witchcraft Museum. Yes.
That is a really
So
cool
cool.
place.
Yeah.
Super fun. Well, guys, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out with me for an hour.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was awesome. Thanks for taking time out of y'all's day. I know you were supposed to be on the same camera, but thanks for making it work. It goes, there you go.
It's not fun.
So real quick, y'all give us just a few little like what you guys are doing in the next couple months so we know what's going on.
On the channel? I'm sorry, what was the question? I was looking at the notes. What?
I just
What are you
said,
talking about?
give us a just kind of an overview of like what you're going to be doing the next couple of
Oh, yes.
months, and
Okay, yeah, sure. Where are we? I'm going to be at Mystify, which is the sort of femme forward magic festival that's happening in Vegas in a couple days. That is, and as are many of our friends, it turns out. So I'm excited to spend some time with my honey here and also to connect with the people. So I'll be at Mystify, and then I'm teaching a day of tarot classes here in Richmond the first weekend of April. Through the our sort of local witch academy, and then I'm premiering a new show of my own at the Richmond Fringe Festival on April 13th, which is called the Furies Fun Time Variety Sideshow. And it is myself and two other performers, Crystal Younglove, who some of you may know from various Ren fairs, the indestructible lady, she's a strong woman, and then Claire Dima, master costumer and glass walking belly dancer, who's basically my sister. So we're going to be doing a show, the premise of which is that we are the Greek Furies, and which are the ancient goddesses who embody the spirit of vengeance. And they normally are out having to punish the wicked for all the terrible things. And man, have we been busy lately. What the fuck? So this show is our day off. It's a brunch show. And so we are the Furies trying to unwind by doing some sideshow in a bar. So that's going to be fun if anybody's around.
well, I'll post something about that on Discord as well so we can promote that as well because that'll be super fun. That's in April
13th. Yep. Humanities.
13th. Yes.
Yes. And so we're going to do that. We're going to be accompanied by the amazing multi-instrumentalist Christopher Belgica of my old stilt band, the Tipsy Kings. He's going to come and play live for us and be our real live Orpheus because he really is that good. So that's what's happening in April. Paulo's going to be home for a few days right around then as well. So really what we're going to be doing is building sheds and trying to take care of a bunch of like domestic stuff that really needs to be done. And he's too busy in Texas.
Work never ends.
Right. So he's going to run home. We'll be doing a bunch of stuff for that. And then what else is happening? I'm sorry. Those are the most immediate things. I know I'm going to be at New Jersey. I know I'm going to be, of course I've got the Burlesque Festival. Thank you. Oh yeah. So in May, I'm going to Krampus.
There we go.
There it is. Thank you. Krampus Con. I'm trying to picture my actual written schedule. So Krampus Con is the National Krampus Convention, which is held in Bremerton, Washington this year. I actually have to get off a plane and get on a ferry to get to it. So that'll be fun. I'm going to go there and sell all my Krampus goodies and all that kind of stuff and be around a bunch of other Krampus nerds. And then 2 weeks after that is the 16th annual Asheville Burlesque and Sideshow Festival. Nina Lee will be there helping out with things. Paula will be performing the first 2 nights before he has to do the epic drive back to Tennessee in order to do all of that. Verona Lee, who some of you will know from Sherwood, is also going to be performing in the festival. Mab will be there with us vending. Huh?
Timon from the Nashville show.
Yeah, Timon, who is a very charming performer from at the Nashville show. He's actually from Europe, Sword Swallower, among other things. So my whole year for the last 6 months basically wraps around Abs Fest. So this is our 16th year. We'll get through that. And then I will head over and my birthday weekend, I think, will be at New Jersey, helping out with the after show thing there. I don't know what it's called. Renter After Dark, whatever it's called. Yeah, that's me for the next couple months. And our kid is graduating high school, so it's a lot of paperwork.
Yes, that's right. Good. So Abs Fest is May 22nd through the 25th. So if y'all come. Y'all should do it. It's gonna be a great time.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then so then I'm here in Austin, Texas, or outside of Austin, Texas, for March and April. I'll be at Sherwood Forest Fair all 8 weekends. We just opened this past weekend, and so this is weekend number 2 coming up. And then I, of course, also will be at Mystify this next week as well in Vegas, and with my honey and some other people. And then we got Tennessee in May, Tennessee Renaissance Fair, and I'll be there at Abs Fest at the end of Tennessee, and then we come to New Jersey. So I haven't done New Jersey in a couple of years, so this will be my first year back at New Jersey for 2 weekends. So it's that last weekend of May, which is like the last day of May is the 31st, but that's Saturday, and then it's June 1st, and then the next weekend as well. And then we run off to Europe.
Are you in an OP?
Oh, Muncaster.
Also, for folks at Sherwood, if you see a super handsome kid helping out with the jousters, our kid is coming down to do a week-long apprenticeship with Jouster Dave. So
that's so fun.
I know. He's interested in veterinary science, so he's worked with falcons and he's worked with chickens and sheep and goats and all kinds of things, but he's never really even been around horses. So Dave is going to give him sort of a look at these gigantic animals. How do you feel?
They are a beautiful, scary animal.
Yes. Yeah. And
they are.
As a
so
parent,
that is a really cool thing.
If my kid wanted to be a jouster, I'd be really kind of afraid of that because it's
same. Especially after seeing Dave's documentary and everything.
Exactly. Like, I don't need them to be a jouster, but I want them to be well versed in horses and horsecraft, and
definitely.
Like the world needs more. There's actually a shortage of vets and vet tech people, and it's a really grueling path. So I want the kid to know what he wants to do and get as much support as we can offer him from our weird corner of the Renfair lifestyle.
Awesome town.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So cool.
That's us. Here, hun. Love you.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again so much. I will let all of our Patreons know who is hanging out with me next month as soon as I figure it out. Lots of new Patreon things coming up. We were discussing a little bit before the show, so definitely watch out for that because there's going to be some fun things happening. And our next show, our next show will not be until Tuesday morning. We have Sonnets with Shakespeare. Our normal show on Tuesday night is not happening. Our Modern Monday is not happening. Getting into fair and all the things going on, it's just a lot. But
I'll be Mystify. Yeah.
Be Mystify. So but Sonnets is happening. Crafting with the Crew always, all of that. So definitely check back for all of those fun things. And so
thanks everybody.
Thanks for joining us. Yeah.
Thanks for hanging out, guys.
Oh, I'll have to check it out.
Oh yeah.
I'll check it out right now.
All right.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Guys.
We'll see you next time.